Hey sports fans, my name is Ed, and I've spent the last 20 years traveling North America and the world going to sporting events. I've chronicled all my travels on my website Itinerant Fan. It has guides to all the stadiums in the major American sports leagues, plus some college stadiums and even some major venues around the world. Plus it has travel tips, guides to how to plan a sports vacation, ways to save money, and much, much more. Check it out if you're into traveling for sports. Now let's check out everything there is to do around the Lou. A major destination in the Midwest, St. Louis, Missouri is worth visiting for many reasons, and that includes sports. The first thing most people know about is its top major landmark, the stunning Gateway Arch. But even if you're in town on a short visit to watch sports, don't sleep on some other less well-known parts of town. We'll get into that in a little bit. Travelers coming to St. Louis typically arrive by air into St. Louis Lambert International Airport, located some 15 miles northwest of downtown. While not a hub for any major airline, each of the top domestic carriers operates flights into St. Louis. The airport has 2 terminals to support more than 200 daily departures, making it the busiest airport in Missouri. If you're not renting a car, public transit has you covered. Look for signs directing you to Metrolink, St. Louis's light rail system. There are stations for each of Lambert's 2 terminals on the Red Line, and from there the train winds its way into town, arriving downtown in 20 to 25 minutes. Each station has machines from which you can purchase fare for the light rail. A 2-hour pass costs $4 as of spring 2025, but a better value is the one-day pass for just $1 more. The pass can also be used on St. Louis's metro buses. When you get downtown, you'll find that many of the city's major hotels are located here, convenient to each of the sports venues as well as many other attractions. The street grid in downtown St. Louis is fairly easy to follow, and thus it's not difficult for a sports fan trying to get to a game no matter which venue it's at. Either Clark or Market Streets, parallel east-west streets located a block apart, can get you to the stadium. If you're in town for baseball, you're headed to Busch Stadium at Clark and 8th Streets and right alongside Interstate 64. The new Busch, opened in 2006 as the 3rd different stadium with this name that has hosted the Cardinals, is a veritable shrine to the club's long and successful history. It's also the closest sports venue to the Arch, of which you'll get a great view while attending a game there. By the way, if you want to know more about what it's like watching a game at Busch Stadium, I've done a full video guide to the fan experience there. I'll link it in the description below. The Ballpark Village Entertainment District, developed over the last decade as an accompaniment to Busch Stadium, is worth a visit for dining and nightlife regardless of whether the Cardinals are home or not, thanks to its central location and abundance of restaurants. The centerpiece, though, is the Cardinals Nation building, with an expansive indoor space that is basically the biggest sports bar in town. Just a half-mile west of Busch Stadium along Clark Avenue is the city's arena, Enterprise Center. It has served as the home of the NHL's St. Louis Blues since 1994, when it opened as the Kiel Center. While their history isn't nearly as long as the Cardinals, the Blues have had a number of legendary and popular players gracing the Blue Note since the team's inception in 1967, and it gets plenty of love from the sports-mad city when it's playing well. The Blues fans were finally rewarded in 2019 when the team ended a 52-year drought and won the first Stanley Cup in franchise history. The Cardinals and Blues were joined by another major sports franchise in 2023 when it got a Major League Soccer team. St. Louis City plays at a purpose-built soccer stadium now known as Energizer Park, located just a few blocks west of Enterprise Center and next to the landmark Union Station. Meanwhile, the Dome at America Center is no longer home to an NFL team, but it does host the United Football League's St. Louis Battlehawks. So no matter what time of year you're in St. Louis, there's likely a game to be seen somewhere. On my visit to St. Louis, I had just 48 hours, which is short for sure, but there's still time to get a good feel for the character of the city beyond its very fervent sports scene. No matter what brings you to town, it's hard not to focus on the primary attraction. The Gateway Arch is located right on the Mississippi River and walking distance from many major hotels in the downtown area. The land around it is designated as a U.S. National Park, the smallest one at that, at just under 193 acres. Simply walking up to it can be awe-inspiring. So I'm not sure you can understand the true scale of this thing unless you're standing like directly underneath it. I mean, this thing is massive. The attraction is supported by a museum at its base, which is well worth checking out. But the big treat for visitors is the chance to travel up to the top of the arch, some 630 feet above ground. You can reserve a time to do so in advance, and it's a good idea to do so if you're on a tight schedule or simply want to go up at a particular time of the day. There are 2 trams, one on each leg of the arch, and you get assigned a certain car based on where you are in line and how many people are in your party. The lead-up takes on an amusement park feel, with a series of presentations showing the timeline of the arch's construction, as well as the cultural highlights of the 1960s, the decade in which the arch opened. Finally, it's time to board. These tram cars look like they're straight out of Epcot Center. That is, they were clearly designed in the 60s. Each car fits up to 5 people, and it's a pretty tight squeeze, so if you share a car with strangers like I did, you'll get to know them pretty well by the end of the ride. Anyway, unless you've been dying to know what the inside of the arch looks like, the ride isn't all that captivating. I did want to know what it would feel like as the tram made its way around the curve, but the fact that you can't see outside limited any weird tilting or leaning sensations you might feel. Finally, I made it to the top. The observation deck feels a lot like the inside of an airplane. A number of portholes allow visitors to see out onto the city, and the view is quite spectacular. By the way, if you want this cool shot with the shadow of the arch casting over downtown, come in the morning when the sun is to the east. Switch sides to see the Mississippi River and Illinois on the other side. Helpful signs explain what you're seeing if you're not familiar with the St. Louis region. Each tram group is given 7 to 9 minutes in the observation deck, and then it's time to head back down in the same tram car you came up in. While that seems like a short time, it's tightly controlled to ensure it doesn't get too crowded up there. Oh, and the experience is pretty much the same going down, like a slightly off-kilter elevator, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Back down on the ground, you can explore the museum, which is dedicated to telling the story of the arch's construction, as well as the westward expansion of the United States that the arch was built to symbolize. If you're into the architectural and political machinations that went into getting a structure of this magnitude built, plan on spending a good 30 to 45 minutes looking at all the exhibits. The rest of Gateway Arch National Park amounts to a nice public space on the riverfront, good for a stroll on a brisk spring morning along with the joggers and dog walkers. Keep heading north and you'll wind up at a historic district called Laclede's Landing. This is St. Louis's oldest neighborhood, where the city got its start in 1763 when French fur trader Pierre Laclede established a trading post here. The district retains its old-timey charm and thrives as a nightlife and entertainment district. On this visit I was here in mid-morning, so it doesn't look all that lively, but in the past I've had great times getting dinner and drinks in this area of town. Laclede's Landing also has its own stop on the Metrolink. Meanwhile, there's one part of St. Louis that I'd always wanted to visit, but it wasn't accessible by light rail, so I had to jump on a rideshare for this one. Just a few miles west of downtown along Interstate 44 is a neighborhood known as simply The Hill. It's a traditionally Italian enclave, and if you didn't know it before you arrived, you'll find out just by looking around because the colors of the Italian flag are everywhere. Take a stroll along Marconi Avenue to check out numerous Italian restaurants, bakeries, and delis. But I came specifically to grab one specialty that St. Louis is known for, toasted ravioli. My choice on this trip was Mama's on the Hill, one of multiple restaurants that claims to have invented the dish. Now, I'm not here to say who's right or who's wrong in this debate. I just know I wanted a classic Italian food experience on the Hill, and Mama's fit the bill. And the toasted ravioli was worth the trip. Because I was alone, I took my order to go, but I thoroughly enjoyed my order even after a few minutes of transport. You can get both cheese and meat varieties. I'll say I like the meat version slightly more. I also got myself some linguine and clams, and that was really tasty too. So that was my short trip to St. Louis, and I know there's much more to experience, but for a 48-hour stay, I feel like I got at least a good glimpse of what this great city has to offer. Are you planning to visit the Lou in the near future? If so, let me know. Leave a like or a comment below, and be sure to subscribe to the Itinerant Fan YouTube channel because we'll be making a lot more stadium and travel videos like this one. And if you're looking for more info on other major cities or sports venues, head to itinerantfan.com. Happy travels!